solving a triangle means to find out everything we can about it. Specifically, I want to know what all three sides and all three angles are equal to. So there's 6 things I need to find out about this problem. Well, the good news is they give me 3 pieces of information. So just like that, without doing any work, we're halfway done, right? We've got 3 things and we only need 6 of them. So 3 more to go. One way to do these problems is to use a chart. Now, you don't have to use the chart. In some cases, people get confused by it. I'm going to use the chart, but don't feel like you have to. You can add your information right to the diagram if you'd like to. So let's see what we've got. Notice, or a couple things I guess I should point out with how my chart works. Notice where angle A is located and where side A is located. Angles and sides are always opposite of each other. So if you're using a chart for different letters besides A, B, and C, just keep that in mind, that angle A and side A, or whatever those same letters would be opposite each other. Also, I'd highly recommend that you put your hypotenuse, your right angle, on the bottom of your chart. Just to help you out. Alright, so let's see what I've got. I can see that according to my diagram, angle A is 28 degrees, so I'll add that to my chart. It's one piece of information I know. I know angle C is 90 degrees, the right angle symbol tells me that. And then I know that side B, and I know again that that's side B because it's opposite of angle B. I know that side B is 15. So there's the 3 pieces of information they gave me. I want to find the other 3 pieces of information. So there's a few strategies you can use. One thing I can use right away in this case is that the angles of any triangle will add up to 180 degrees. So subtracting the angles that I'm given from 180 tells me that that third angle has to be, angle B, has to be 62 degrees. So there's 4 answers out of the 6 that I need. Next up, the only thing left to find are the 2 sides. Well, in the past, we've used the Pythagorean theorem to find a missing side. Unfortunately, that's not going to work this time because I'm missing 2 of the sides. There's too many variables, which leaves me with just one option, and that's to use trig to find a missing side. So let's do that. So going back to hopefully some things we remember from geometry, the first thing I want to do is figure out an angle to be sort of standing at, or to use as my starting point. And you're free to use any angle as long as it's not the right angle. I'm going to use angle A. You could just as well have used angle B because we know angle B as well. So using angle A as our reference point, let's identify what our 3 sides are called. Side C is called the hypotenuse. It's the longest side across from the right angle. Side A is called the opposite side because it's across from the angle I'm looking at or standing at. And then the side next to it, the 15, is the adjacent side. Okay? Well, once again, you have a choice to make, and that's whether you find side A or find side C first, and it doesn't really matter. I suppose let's go alphabetical and let's find side A first. Since that's the side I'm wanting to find and it's unknown to me, I have to make sure I use the other side that I do know. I can't use side C. That would be too many variables. So using the opposite side and using the adjacent side, what I have to do is figure out which of the 3 trig functions I'm going to use. Well, this is where SOHCAHTOA, it comes in very handy. So I'm going to jot that down at the top, although hopefully you have this memorized how to spell it. What I need to do then is take a look at SOHCAHTOA and figure out which one uses the opposite and which one uses the adjacent, the O and the A. So taking a look at this, I can see that tangent is going to be the ratio that I want to use because it uses opposite and it uses adjacent. So let's use that to write our equation. So I'm going to say the tangent, and then always tangent of the angle, so tangent of 28, is equal to the opposite side, which is A, over the adjacent side, which is 15. So there's the equation I want to solve. Using a calculator, finding the tangent of 28, I want to round that to 4 decimal places just to be as accurate as possible. I find that to be 0.5317. If you're not getting that, just make sure you're in degree mode. Which I showed you in a previous video how to do, equals A over 15. There's a few ways you can solve this. One way that you could do this really easily that a lot of people like is just put that over 1 and solve it like a proportion. So cross multiplying it, A, side A, is approximately equal to, using a calculator to do 0.5317 times 15. I find that side A to be about 7.98. Let's round to 2 decimal places. And again, depending on where you round, you may not have that exactly, so as long as you're within the ballpark, I'd say you're fine. So side A is about 7.98. Well, I got one more thing to find, and that's side C. At this point, if you want to use Pythagorean theorem, you absolutely can do that. You have 2 sides, you can use it to find the third. However, I may say don't do it. It's not going to be wrong to do it, but since that side's rounded, you may not want to use a rounded side to get another answer. That's just kind of compounding the rounding. Although it's certainly going to be fine to do, and it's going to be close enough. Let's take a look again, because we're talking trig right now. Let's take a look at a way that I can use trigonometry to find side C as well. So let me go ahead back and erase a couple things in here just to kind of clear out my drawing a little bit. So now I want to find side C. That's what's unknown to me. So let's find side C, the hypotenuse. Once again, I want to use the side that I know, the 15. I guess technically I know side A, but again, I don't want to use rounded answers if I don't have to. So to find side C, I need to use the adjacent, I need to use the hypotenuse. Taking a look at SOHCAHTOA and the part that uses the oops, I gave it away, the cosine. Anyways, I'm using cosine because it's got the adjacent and the hypotenuse in it. So that's the one I'm going to pick to use this time. So this time I'm going to write cosine because I'm using adjacent and hypotenuse. And always cosine of the angle, so cosine of 28, is equal to the adjacent side, which is 15, over the hypotenuse, which is C. So notice that variable could be in the top or bottom of your fraction. Once again, using a calculator to find the cosine of 28, I find that to be about 0.8829. equals 15 over C. And again, it may be helpful to do this as a proportion, so throw that over 1, and then do some cross multiplying. So 0.8829C would be equal to 15. And finally, dividing both sides by 0.8829, I find side C to be approximately 16.99. And as long as you're somewhere in that ballpark, you're fine. So again, adding that to my chart to get all of my 6 answers, there are all 3 sides, all 3 angles. I know I'm probably right in the sense that C is my biggest side. I knew that hypotenuse should be the biggest. If C came out to be like 5 or something, I know that couldn't be right because it's not the biggest side. So I've solved the right triangle. I found out everything I could about that triangle.